drag and drop any file and pick and choose whichever you need from here. My topic, data, catalog, or whatever, which file I can just drag and drop over here. And this location is what I had specified. Whether it's going to be sequential file, I mean, any file. So it's in home road. Yes, it's same as CMS files. Exactly the same. FileZilla is free version. It's the licensed one. I used to use FileZilla, but I was licensed version. Maybe I don't know the free version available as well. But yeah, WinSAP is completely free. So it's just exactly the same. Okay, I guess I think Sapna, someone who had that question, but she's not here around. Okay, so let's quickly move on to the HIVE part then. Okay, so that I don't want to waste our time because not to extend it post 10:30. You guys will be already tired with your lot of stuff. Let's quickly move on to any questions before that, just to, or we can just directly jump into it then. Okay, so assuming no one else, I'm assuming even you can see my screen as well, right?
Hi Saji, this is Manoj. I have one question here.
Sure.
From the last session, we are talking about the small file and the large file. So how we'll decide the small file and the large file is okay, but how we can decide is a small size? Is there any?
So one key parameter of how you determine your smaller file is based on your RAM size. So in case we are talking specifically about the distribute cache, or if you're specifically duplicated in the big scenario, one key factor is that small file should be able to fit in memory. Okay, if it's not going to sit, the distribute cache, whatever you have defined, is not going to fit into memory, it's going to throw you an error. The file size which you're choosing should be small enough to fit into your main memory. I mean, that's all the small definition over here. The remaining anything, and there is actually a real calculation where if you are in the administrator level, there is a parameter being grouped, how much percentage of the memory will be for getting your file. So basically, a safer measure for it would be, in case you have a 4 GB memory. Okay, so I would say a small file would be something which is 2 GB. Or maybe maximum 3 GB. Don't go beyond that, because then another 1 GB of memory space will be occupied by a system for some other processing and all those things. So it can create it. So half will be a better benchmark to keep. The remaining should not be. But all these parameters can be even customized. So there are parameter files available which you can define. Only 25% of the memory should be utilized for external files or memory file that needs to be stored in the memory that we can parameters. I mean, that's all comes in the administrator realm. But if you Google a parameter file for defining memory location, you will get an n number of list of parameters. But yeah, just to give a one-line answer for your questions, it's a safer bet to have half of your memory size as your small file. So 4 GB, I can say 2 GB file is going to be small. So if you have an 8 GB RAM in your data node which is running, I would say 4 GB file should be fair enough for you to play around making a distribute cache or a replicate. So when we say small, only parameter that we need to be bothered about is that particular file should be able to fit inside our memory of the data node. That's the key part, okay? I mean, memory of the data node. We don't care about the memory of the name node. So that's what you define as a smaller one.
Okay, got it.
Right.
And one more question I want to ask here.
Yeah.
The distributed cache, where it is in physically where it will be distributed cache.
It's going to be a memory location inside the HDFS environment. So it will be in one computer system in the HDFS. So if we have 4 nodes, right? 4 nodes. When I say, it's nothing but 4 different computers. So it will be sitting in one one I mean, one HDFS part. I can't say it as computer part. If I deep dive into the concept, that's something which I explained the last session, right? So a little an advanced topic, which we need to, which you all need to understand. So yeah, some of these questions will get some clarity on some of those part. So when I say, let's draw just two data node. Okay, this is one data node. This is another data node. This other data node. Okay, so basically what's going to happen is, in the real environment, let me take out the small guy. In the real environment, when I say HDFS, okay, so this is all administrative task. Okay, you being a Hadoop developer would not even touch any of this part at all, but it's good to know that. So what will happen is, in the real-time scenario, 30% of this particular location, okay, is being kept aside a local system. That means if it's local computer, I'm going to spare 30% of location. This also 30, this also 30. So only 70% of this thing, okay. That means, let's bring in some other color. Let's bring in this guy itself. And then, where is the color now? Come on. Okay, okay, when I do that, I change the color to this. And when I say this is 70%, for example, I mean, don't Control C, Control V, Control V. So this should go and sit on top of every of those. So this orange color is nothing but our HDFS environment, a real scenario. And the remaining blue, what you can see over here, is reserved space for the local system. I'm assuming you guys are getting the concept. So this portion will be for the internal, whatever the some storage, temporary storage, and all those things. So when I say temporary storage, you remember that first class when the mapper was being created, a file was getting created, right? So that mapper file creation is happening over in this blue part and not in this part, okay? And from here, it'll get pick up, distribute, and collate together and commit. I mean, collate together and then process it. So this 30% of the part, what exactly was the question now? Sorry, I lost somewhere. Manoj, can you repeat the question? I'm extremely sorry for that.
Yes, my question was basically where the physically location of
okay, where exactly the distribute cache? Yeah, that's good. Okay, so this particular location, this will be sitting in one of this location, distribute cache, and this is accessible to, when I define it as a distribute cache, that particular location is accessible to each and every of this node. So if I have a distribute cache over here, let's bring in a green guy. Okay, why is that becoming green now? Let's bring a small distribute cache as this one. And if this is the distribute cache available, that particular is having access. So this anyway is sitting over here. This has direct access to here. And this can even Control C, Control V. And this can even have a pretty much copy. This particular connectivity has been established, and we can have a quicker access to that particular data and come and store it. So that's exactly what it means. So whenever the map setup runs, this distribute cache will get stored in every of this hash map, right? So I mean, that's exactly what we saw. It has been stored in the hash map, nothing but an array in the memory. So this can be picked up by every of this node immediately, and then it can be loaded into the memory. So that's how exactly been stored. So this will be one of the HDFS location and not in this location. This is utilized when you do a mapper processing and all those things. That's the time this particular location will be utilized. Mapper output file, in fact. Hope that's clear. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on with the data node. What if the data node, if the distribute cache goes down, the mapper process itself is going to immediately throw you an error stating that it can't be run or something. So it's going to grow you an immediate error. So there's no automatic failure mechanism to come up. But that distribute cache going down will be only the first initial setup part, right? So we need to understand that the first setup, that is the time it really happens. Immediately the data that is being put in the distribute cache is being copied into the hash map. So then the process will run as it is. But if that particular content is what is some creating the major, or to rephrase in a different way. So if that particular process before the copy to the hash map has gone down, the process is going to get failed. It's going to give you a failure stating the. But one thing which you need to understand is that is the very first setup stage where the copy is happening. So no process run. So it's pretty much safe to repeat the process. So it would not have even run for maybe a minute. Before that itself, you will get the error. So it's not like 4 hours it processed and then you're going to get an error. So that's a pain part, right? We execute it for 4 hours and then suddenly all of a sudden if you get a failure, it's a big thing for us to handle. But if it happens in first minute or second minute of the time, we should be able to repeat the process all over again. Okay, so assuming no more questions, or if anything, please shoot. Let's pick it up for maybe another 2 minutes. But very, very thoughtful questions. Good. Anyone has any? Okay, assuming no more questions, so let's move on to the Hive scenario. So what we're going to see is this MapReduce 2 part cover. Okay, let me give you a very brief of what exactly we'll be doing. What we're planning to do is there will be a file, there will be a folder, in fact, a directory inside. We'll have around 10 different image files. Okay, 10 different image files, out of which only 2 image files will be exactly the same. Okay, that 2 image file will be exactly the same. And what we're going to do is, whatever is and the remaining all will be unique files. Okay, so whatever is the duplicate file, we'll just try to, using our MapReduce program, we are going to figure out which are the duplicate images and which are the correct image that we're going to determine, and then throw out a message stating that, okay, this particular file is duplicated one, image file. So that's exactly the image processing which you're going to do. Okay, that's something which I don't have the exact file and all those setup available with now. And I think the existing one got corrupted or not sure what exactly happened. So that's why we're just trying to push it to a different time schedule, and then pick up Hive as of now. So that will give you a real of how exactly you need to run those sequential file stuff. Binary file, in fact, how exactly you can process a binary file. And you will be hearing about record reader, how exactly an interface between mapper and an input split, what really happens, all those things will be covered in this session. Okay. Let's move on with if no more questions, let's move on with the Hive part now. So one of the pain point that was really happening for every of those developer was writing a huge chunk of garbage code in Java. So instead of just doing a print system.out.println, right? That's what everyone is really scared of, or not so easy. Even though there are IDEs which a shortcut key and all those things available, still, or a non-Java programmer or someone who is going to come in, it's too much of a garbage for a guy to enter in. So that's exactly what even happened with Facebook. So in parallel, okay, who created the pig? Who created pig environment? Which company did it? Yeah, so Yahoo came up with pig. So in parallel, what is happening is, and Yahoo, when came up with the pig, that is more aligned to a business analyst requirement. So it's like a data flow line kind of a programming. That's exactly what is being done big. But in parallel, there was another development happening, which was done by Facebook, which had a lot of SQL kind of a developer. Okay, so their need was, there are a lot of people sitting around here who doesn't understand real Java coding, all those things, but we are good in the SQL environment. Okay, we know how to select, how to join, how to play around with the SQL environment. So why don't we come up with an environment okay, using a Java tool, and create those environments which can play around with the SQL kind of a tool can be developed. So that's the kind of vision which the Facebook came up with, and Hive was born as part of the brainchild of those kind of an innovation. Okay, so first and foremost, those developers who was in a SQL-oriented environment, who are playing around with a SQL-oriented environment, it's complete favoring environment. Those of SQL developers were being kept intact, and that's how exactly Hive was born. Now let's see what the slide says. Okay, introduction, installing Hive. I mean, there's a lot of theory being covered over here in this entire thing. But what we'll do is we'll try to just see how the flavor of the environment, or what exactly you need to do, so that you guys yourself can practice some of this. It's pretty much very straightforward environment, which you guys know. The SQL, everyone would have created a table, done some sort of a select, some join, and all those things. So I'll just give a start of it so that you guys, maybe the weekend and all those things, and when you have some time, it might be an interesting for you guys to create your own and start creating, loading the data and all those things. I'll just give a pointer of website where you can do as well. So, but anyway, we'll also be continuing doing, but as on your area of interest, you can do it on yourself as well. So let's bring in some spare some time for even those sessions. So basically now it's 9:30. So let's maybe 10-15 kind, we'll try to wind up the theory kind of stuff, and then last 15 minutes we'll try to use some of the practical knowledge. What is my question? As procedures and triggers. See, one big pain area for me, Mac. Some of the instruction even given in this document is not perfectly correct. Every release of Hive is coming up, they're trying to aggressively come up with a betterment of the product. So till I was doing stuff, there was no support for procedures and triggers. But I'm very sure that the latest release, or maybe it is there in their future plan. So what they're planning to do is trying to make it as close as any other database environment. That's actually the vision with which Hive has been coming up. So definitely, yes, they would have done the support for procedures and triggers. But I till my learning, when I was learning this thing, there was no procedures and triggers being supported. Just to answer your question, but I need to look for the latest one is really happened. So one of the drastic change what was happening in Hive was, okay, let's pick that up when we cover the theory part of it. Okay. So this is where exactly created by Facebook. It's a SQL-like environment, automatically adjust storage. So that's all. So much of theory over here. Okay, installing Hive. This is something which you may not, I mean, you as a developer may not have access to, or may not be knowing this environment to a real production environment. But this is exactly how you set it up. You bash rc, where's the bash? Again, the .bash rc file, or there are n number of other parameter files which can be updated. So this is setting up the class path, all those things. Okay, setting up the class path, I mean the path, and how exactly it's been set up is what being covered over here, which is a lot. And similar to the parameter file, what we have is, you guys remember the 3 parameter file which you use for Hadoop purpose? The very initial stage, we had 3 parameter file which we play around. I know it's been quite some time that we covered that, maybe some 5 sessions back, just trying to test your memory. There were 3 parameters file which we were using. Anyone remember what was this parameter file or configuration file? In fact, yes, exactly. Yeah, that's a file I'm talking about. .xml file. That's the configuration file. So when an interviewer asks, okay, what are the configurations file which is htfsi.xml, right, Preetham? What else? What else? It's pretty much good to just get a HDFS score. No, it's just to get a refresher done, so that you know, okay, I mean, somewhere my memory is cheating me. That's not correct. You have mixed 2 things, Manoj. Yeah, but with that, you should be able to split and come up. What was the question? I was disconnected. So basically, what are the 3 parameter file? That was a simple question back. What are the three parameter file which we play around with? Core site.xml, correct. Core site.xml. mapred site.xml and hdfs site.xml. Great. So I'm assuming every of you guys know what is the property and which files, right? So HDFS file, when the moment I say it, you should be able to. This exactly the same. There is a Hive site.xml. I just need to see that whether it's Hive XML or Hive. Hive site.xml. This is the one. So this has almost every parameter what has been defined about the Hive. It's keeping inside this particular XML, Hive site.xml. Okay. It should be, so the moment you open it, the Hadoop, inside the Hadoop, there should be a Hive. Inside Hive, if you look into, you should be able to see that file. So which talks about the entire configuration part of it. But yeah, so on another this thing, mapred site.xml, you need to understand HDFS site is for HDFS site is meant for storing stuff. Mapred site is meant for processing stuff, and core site is meant for common. Oh, audio is distorting badly, is it? Yeah. I was just trying to get a speed test and all those things checked today, and I found it was quite exactly the 8 Mbps, which is going. So, I mean, since you guys said, I was just trying to get those. Is this everyone facing it? Because, yeah, I mean, I agree to your point, because when you said I have picked up the last recording, and even I saw that there was voices breaking. Oh, okay. So that's some issue from my end. The only one possible thing as what I can do now is make multiple repetition on the statement what I make, so that you don't miss any of those concepts. I'll do that because now if I do have another parallel connection also we maintain, so that this thing, but it might be too much of this thing. But yeah, let me go a little more slow and make multiple repetition of the same statement so that you don't miss it. I'll do that. Okay, so yeah, but here, yeah. So this is the Hive service which we spoke about. So Hive can be connected. Okay, Hive can be connected in multiple ways. One is with the JDBC, Java Database Connector, and this is the online. Open source database connector. Open source database application. So different means with which you can disconnect it. So Thrift is like an intermediator. Okay. So whichever programming language like Python, Perl, whichever, suppose this Thrift thing, I can connect to the Thrift, and Thrift will establish a connectivity towards the Hive. Okay. So that's something over here. So programs like Python, Perl, or any other programs do have which supports the Thrift application will establish a connectivity towards the Hive service. And how exactly Hive is working behind the scene is what we're going to see now in the features, right? So there is something known as a meta store, which is nothing but metadata about the Hive is being stored in the meta store. So we have covered the metadata part pretty much elaborately in the name node stuff and all those things, right? So similar ways, metadata. So whatever the metadata of Hive will be stored in the metastore database. And by default, what you can hear is metastore in a by default Hadoop environment is Derby database, DERBY, Derby database. That's something which you might be hearing for quite common. Okay. Let me check. Okay, yeah, things are fine. Okay. So Derby database is the one which is being used, but in ACADGIL, what we have done is the limitation of Derby is only one instance of Hive you can run. Okay, what do I mean by that? Let me bring in Hive directly rather than throwing so much of theory. I hate doing that, and I know everyone else will hate theory so much because I do have. Okay, so one thing, how exactly what I need to do to get my Hive up and running. Okay. So in the first document, a Cadgil VM installation document, which you guys have, that clearly says what you need to be doing in case you want to bring up Hive environment. Okay. So now I have done some setup. Everything is done. So, but let me show you what I did. And actually, I bring up Hive. It might be slightly different from in most of the other scenarios. So when I do a JPS, okay, I have made my name node, secondary name node, everything up and running. So I'm assuming everyone is fine with that concept. Everyone knows how exactly to make your every of those node up and running. So name node, data node, all those things. After that, what I need to do is I need to bring my MySQL service up and running. Okay. So MySQL service needs to be made up and running so that why exactly? Because I was talking about Derby database, right? But in a Cadgil VM, what we have done is instead of using Derby database, the default Derby database, we have replaced it with MySQL database. The advantage what we got over here is when I was using Derby database, I can have only one Hive session. So when I say one Hive session, it's nothing but I open a session over here. This is my one session. Okay. If I open another Hive, okay, in a Cloudera or any of those environment, if I open another Hive, it will not support. I can have only one Hive session. Multiple session, if you give, it's going to throw you an error. Okay. But here, that's not going to be the case. Since we have taken up MySQL as our Metastore database, Metastore's data. So I'm assuming, I mean, since there's a lot of, since you guys reported that there is some sort of a distortion in voice also, so I don't want to ask much of a questions. Okay. So since there is a multiple session that has been opened, so how exactly is going to behave? So what I need to do, the command that I need to use for starting the service, MySQL service, how exactly I'll do? I need to do a sudo service, okay, and mysqld, and then start. MySQL daemon service is what I'm actually starting from here. Sudo service, mysqld and start. Okay, now I think I need to stop it because it's already been started. Stop. And it's going to ask me password. It's going to take some time. Yeah, so it's actually stopped. Okay. So now, in order for me to get my Hive running, first and the foremost step, what I need to do is, yeah, sudo service, mysqld, MySQL daemon, start. Okay. And this, in case if you're not able to recollect all these commands, okay, in case you're not able to recollect this command, it's available in the document which has been provided. VM installation. There's a separate notice there for what are the prerequisites for PIC, what are the prerequisites for all those things are defined in this particular document. So to by heart this stuff, but once you do the practice and keep practicing it, it's going to automatically come for you. So once I have done this, I just need to type in Hive. My Hive CLI environment is going to be up and running now. So this is how exactly the moment I do a Hive, waiting for it to get activated, activates. Yeah, so that's where you can see. So you can see the Hive terminal coming over here with a Hive prompt. Okay. So this is how exactly the CLI environment of Hive looks like. Okay. Now let's move on. Move on. Yeah. So these are the different, I mean, Hive services interfacing with the Hive. So there is actually, I mean, I have never used any of this apart from the normal CLI environment. So, and that's what we 80% of use in production. So I'm not really sure. And yeah, this also we're going to see when we create a UDF. And there is an HWI, which is nothing but a web-based interface. So instead of writing a create table and all those commands over here in this Hive CLI, I'm going to do it in the display all front end. Yes, let's do that. Yeah. So instead of doing that, I will be writing in the web. But there are multiple other third-party tools available, just like HUE. So one of the famous third-party tool which you use for writing the SQL query. It's just like a web-based interface. So those of you guys who use MySQL Developer or a Toad, that's exactly how it is. It looks pretty much same, but it's more of a web-based application. I can just write query at the moment it's going to give you a result back. Okay. And Hive server, it's exactly the way you run it on a server, and you have Thrift server, a third party, I mean intermediator, which outside application can get connected to. So that's exactly what it is. And this is exactly what we already saw. Thrift server, JDBC, and ODBC connectors. How exactly you guys can go through this once. So this connectivity, what they're talking about is Python and Ruby. Metastore, which we already spoke about. So basically the partition or some configuration component about the Hive will be stored in this metastore. And by default, we said it's the Derby data is this guy. But in a categorical VM, you have it as stored in the MySQL. One of the, I think somewhere over here it should be mentioned. However, only one embedded Derby database can access the database file on disk at a time. We can have only one Hive session open. So this particular handicap situation is being overcome. We overcome it by having it replaced with MySQL. I know you guys might be finding it like a award-winning movie, me repeating every of those stuff, but it's fine. So maybe I'll try to get next session onwards, get both those session active, both those net connection active. So in case if one finds out a not so favorable this thing, I can fall back on the other connection. I'll do that. Okay. So SQL into native. Okay. So basically, when I speak about Hive, any questions over here? Metadata in case of Hive. Okay. Metastore. Sorry, Mac, I didn't get your question. So the question is Metastore in case of Hive is RDBMS. That's exactly right. Metastore for Hive is an. So here, what we said is Derby, but here what we're using is MySQL. That's correct. Metastore in case of Hive is RDBMS. Okay, so one more thing what you need to understand is behind the scenes. So basically, if you write a SQL, so you can see a SQL HiveQL over here, create table, table name, row format. We'll just try to create one table and see over here how actually thing needs to be done. Let's Google stuff and then pick it up so that it's a slightly interesting for you guys rather than so much of a theory being vomited. Okay, so when it's been presented to the Hive, it's created the behind the scene. What really is happening is an exact same MapReduce program it's been converted to a MapReduce program, Java program, and then that particular executable stuff is being thrown to the different nodes, and that is getting processed and bring back the result. So this SQL is converted into a MapReduce programming is what I'm trying to say, you guys. Okay, so that's how exactly run. And that's one of the demerit also. So basically what happened, many of our installation, you can see one statement over here. Where exactly is that? Did I miss that statement? Okay, I think it'll be in the coming slides. Okay, so basically what I'm trying to say you is, where exactly is that? So what I'm trying to say you is, there is an engine, executor engine. Should have been there somewhere over here. That was some key point. Oh, I think, yeah, that should have been the second slide, I believe. Yeah, this is exactly what it is. The execution engine is controlled by the hive.execution.engine property, hive.execution.engine. Okay, so this is something which you'll be finding in hive site.xml file. So hive execution.engine, what by default it's going to be MapReduce. So in case if you don't mention anything, that will be picking up by default MapReduce. But many of our installation, what we have changed is from MapReduce, we have changed it to Thais. So the Thais needs to be installed, or Spark needs to be brought in. I have never used with Spark, but I have seen my team using the Thais one. Okay, but many of the installations still are relying on the MapReduce part, even though it's giving you a very, very slow performance. When I say slow performance, it's nothing but a job that will be running in the production environment, in the traditional environment using an Oracle database or something, which is running for maybe 3 days or 4 days, is being converted to my maybe 10 hours now using MapReduce. But if you use stays, that 10 hours job will just get directly being shortened into maybe 3 hours or something. So that's exactly the performance. So when I say slow, it's much faster than the traditional environment, but much slower than the current existing technology, high power technology is what you need to understand when I say slow. Okay, so any questions? Okay, no questions. Yeah, so you can show the questions. I may not be seeing it because this environment, but we'll, at a logical break, we'll be taking up questions one by one. Okay, the client machine, this is what exactly happened. We spoke about HIVE. So this is a little bit more diagrammatic visualization of what exactly we mentioned. The command line is nothing but what we saw over here. So this is exactly what it is, command line, what we're going to do now in a short while. Okay, it's going to pick up the Metastore data. Metastore's data is nothing but all the configuration, all those data about the Hive is being stored over here. And once you pass those information for the processing, it's being processed by Hive Query Parser Executor. And that will be directly go and hitting into the actual database, which is HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System, and then brings back the result and exactly thrown back. Okay. Oh man, it's pretty hot over here. I'll try getting some. Okay. Yeah, I heard the temperature this year is going to be 3 degrees Celsius more than previous year, right? It's going to be real hot. Me being in Bangalore is the situation, I know. So the remaining folks. Okay. So use of HiveSQL, save. Okay, so now advantages and limitations of Hive. Okay. So one of the advantages that we spoke about, it's using the MapReduce complex. Basically, it will prevent you. I mean, otherwise you may have to write a complex MapReduce programming. Okay, some 50 to 60 lines of program can be just written. The exact same functionality can be achieved using a simple Hive, which may not be more than 10 lines, 10 or 12 lines of query. If you write exact same thing, you may be getting converted into maybe 50 to 70 lines of Java program. So that's fun, time saving, as well as complexity reduction. All those things are one of the advantage. Okay. Another advantage is even if you think some of the functionality doesn't exist, what you can do is you can write a Java program, okay, and then merge it along with your Hive code. So that's something which you're going to see over here now, maybe in next session or after a couple of sessions. So we're going to create a UDF file for some very small scenarios, and then we're going to merge it, or when you're going to register it to the Hive environment and try utilizing it. We're going to do that exercise. So it provides no support for updation of. I mean, this is not correct. This handicap situation is being overcome with the version 14.2. And if you ask me a question, what exactly is the current version? I'm 14.2, and I say it's almost a year back. I mean, to be frank, it's almost a year back which I actually used Hive. So that time, I think 14.4 was the one. So let's on the curiosity sake. What exactly is the Hive latest version? That's Hive latest version. So it's 13. No, it's not giving us a correct info. 14.2 is what? So basically, and I say 14.2 is nothing but 0.14.4. Okay, now don't want to spend too much of time in digging into it. Yeah, this Apache site may give you exactly what are the latest releases coming up and stuff like that. Oh, 15 Feb, they had another release, which means a couple of weeks. So that's exactly the reason why I was hesitant showing overconfidence when Mac, you have asked this question, because see, a week back, there's another release went in. So it's every month you can see a couple of new releases happening. So they're trying to bring up exactly the same, the compatibility or what you can see. I mean, the functionality as the normal databases. So that's the kind of approach they wanted to bring in. So you may have to see the latest one. You may have to just look around and see what is happening. So my knowledge on the Hive, whatever I'm talking about, is exactly almost a year back. That's where I have used Hive. Okay. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah. So basically, this is not, but there are a lot of other limitations. But some of the by default MapReduce is being overtaken by the Thales. So and one other stuff is an Impala, which is a Cloudera product, which is being coming up with an heavily. But now Spark SQL has been catching up pretty much high. So they are also trying to compete with exactly the same. I mean, I won't use the word compete because everything is an open source system. So how exactly they generate a revenue, I'm pretty much not sure how exactly they do that. So so another parallel component system is what I would like to call them. So Spark system, Spark QL is also exactly the similar kind of functionality is being added. Much faster than Hive existing environment. So that is where these guys will come out. Okay, the moment they see, okay, there is more in-memory concept and stuff like that happening with another. So they're trying to incorporate as much of performance-oriented stuff over here. And many of those interview questions, what you can see is how exactly you can do performance tuning. So there is a separate section altogether, performance tuning in Hive. So as far as preparation for the interview step, so that should be one serious thought that you need to give. Performance tuning in Hive. So n number of parameter can be adjusted to improve the performance. So that's something which you need to know. I mean, even I'm not completely aware of I have not worked on the performance tuning, but nowadays, whichever is the interview you're coming up, so the main stuff what they're looking for is performance tuning, because that's need of the hour in current scenario. Okay, so this is something whatever we discussed all this file. That's been discussed in elaborately. The query. So this is the one which you were speaking about, execution engine. So now default is MapReduce. Thales and Spark is also you can be updated over here. Driver. I say good SQL, then it maintains session handle. Meta store we spoke about, Hive server extensive. So let's try to bring in some. Yeah. So these are the questions now. What are the challenges in MapReduce programming? MapReduce program we already discussed. It's a huge number of Java codes that you need to write. So a Java to Scala guy, what they say is whatever garbage or whatever you see, a lot of garbage, and so I'm not talking about the garbage collector, GC garbage. So it's like system. Why exactly you need a system.out.println when C in the very primitive world was able to do it with printf? Exactly the class and object-oriented concept. So why is being made it so opaque to the user who is the developer who is doing it? So that is exactly the vision which Scala came into. Scala, right? Scalability language. So Scala came in picture. So all those garbage stuff has been removed and Scala came in picture, coming up with more optimized one. So that's exactly what even Python coming up with. So all those redundant, it's much easier to code. That's exactly. So I think Java 8 is coming up with such kind of architecture in mind or such kind of loophole in mind, right? I mean, the Java guys might be doing. One question from Mac. Is it essential to learn Scala for Spark? Not really. I mean, my research or my personal development, what I'm doing is completely on Python, which you call it as, what is that? It's almost another 4 months now. I need to brush up all my stuff now. Yeah. So it's completely Python is what I'm looking. Scala. What I heard from Scala is those guys who is well versed in Java. I mean, I don't know how true it is. So they say it's easy to come to a my team member who is handling it. He says he's finding it very tough to because Sans is almost same like Java. It's not Java, so he had to spend more time making himself a Scala adjustable to the Scala environment. That's what he says. But if you're a beginner, I would think Python would be much better to use. I mean, it's completely a personal opinion of mine. Okay, there are guys who say Scala is much better to learn because they find it much better. But one thing for sure, the Python graph is in a very inclined situation. So everywhere, data crunching and all those environment, Python is very much coming with a lot of compatible softwares and compatibility modules for handling any sort of situations. That way, I would think Python learning will be much better. Yeah, the reason behind Spark is because Spark is written in Scala. So hope you guys know that. So that's one of the reasons why people correlate with Scala. But they have exactly the similar kind of power to the Python as well. So it's all compatible. Yeah, that much compatible Scala is being given exactly for the Python as well. So you should be able to choose your language for your flexibility. Okay, now let's bring in, yeah, that's all. So now let's bring in, I think there is some sort of so which you guys need to play around with. If available, that should be. So for you to do that, let's bring in, I think we have quite a good enough time. So I don't have any specific file that is being created. So what we do is we just try to Google some basic commands and then HIVE commands. Top HIVE commands is an example. Let's pick up some of those simple stuff where they create table and stuff like that. Very simple one, and pick up some of the questions from there. That will be much better. Okay, tutorial point also give you a let's bring in some example over here. Does any of these guys provide a file? So otherwise, okay, this file will take it up. Okay, we'll try to, anyway, that's it. So let's try doing that. And let's see what all the changes they make in case, what all are the, how do we write it? So let's bring in this guy. Copy. And then where do I find the notepad? Okay. And let's paste it over here, Control V. Create table if not exists. So this is how exactly the create table syntax is. If not exists, employ. Let's make it very simple so that it's pleasing for our eyes to look at, not to include any created stuff. Comment, let me remove this comment and for every of this column. Let's see. So EID int. So let's make it EID int name string. And one thing you need to be careful about is string should be, S should be in uppercase. Destination again string. Okay. Now, something which you may not be familiar with is fields terminated by /n, lines terminated by row format delimited. Okay. So, and what are the characteristics of a particular row is what we define over here. Fields terminated by /n I don't want a slash n. I want it to be, okay, this is also going to create a problem for us. Going to be comma. Okay, okay, one other thing. So just now what I want to tell you is when you try copying some, so basically I'm pretty much sure that you guys are not going to keep creating create table and all. The easiest and simple thing what you're going to do is Google something, take it up and then change it. So one biggest issue, I mean, this is always a pain point for me. Someone runs in production and asks me to solve it out. It may not give you that easily. This particular comma is always a pain. Okay, this is actually not comma, this guy. So I think which you need to be first careful. The moment you see some syntax error from a Google this will be the first guy you need to look for. Okay, stored as text file. Okay, this is by default stored as text file. So we are going to remove even this. Okay, so fields terminated by comma. I'm going to have a comma delimiter. Lines terminated by /n. So what does it mean? So one single line, the terminated line should be a new line character, and it should be a CSV file. That's exactly what it says. Okay, let's try creating this guy. Let me see if my environment is up and running right now. Is it fine to run? Any questions in parallel? So we are just trying to utilize our time, getting some real dirtying our hands rather than. So anyone has any questions? Let's take that forward first before getting. If you're interested in getting practical stuff, then that's exactly what you're doing. Oh, okay. Copy. I don't think we can do this, right? I don't think I can run this inside. Okay, that's where we are going to show the WinSAP power. Let me just give it a try. I don't think I can, but okay. Yeah, there is no paste option. So those of you who are not familiar with the WinSAP, so what I'm trying to do is I'll just Control S and then save it inside a catgil. I'm going to name it as Hive1 because we may have multiple stuff. Okay, Hive create table maybe. Hive _ create table. Create table.txt. Okay, text document and saved it. Now, when I use my WinSAP, okay, Hive create table is come over here, and now there is something known as program. I'm coming to it. Okay, so understand that this is Windows environment. This is my VM environment. With the WinSAP, I'm able to see it like this. I click create. I can create a folder over here. Yeah, new and directory, which I'm going to name it as Hive. Okay, Hive files. Let me name so that it doesn't coincide with any of the existing one. Hive _ file, and now Hive create table. Let me just drag and drop it inside this guy. Hive _ file. Okay, so I have the Hive _ table. So now when I look into it, inside program, that's not inside program. Let's close this guy. Documents, it should be inside a catgil, right? A catgil documents, Hive _ file. And here, it's Hive.txt. Okay, so this is where I can play around with now. Yeah, first thing which I want to make sure is this comma is fine. Okay, let's try executing this guy. Copy. So what I need, employee ID, name, salary, and designation, right? Okay, so let's create such kind of file as well so that we do all these things together. So Hive environment I have, now I right click. Okay, now one more thing. Show databases. Okay, so there is something known as B1, okay, and default. Okay, now first command, what I'm going to do, create database a catgil. Are you guys with me? A cat killed. Does everyone can see the screen, or can everyone hear me? Is that fine? Okay, all right. So great. So create table attack. So now again, I'm going to run the command show databases. So remember this, when you do a show command, it's a plural, whereas when you create, it's singular. Okay, so now I can see the database which I created, which is a cat guild. Now what I need to do is use a cat guild. Okay. Now what I see is, yeah, exactly the same as it's all taken up from MySQL. So since I was not a MySQL guy, I never realized it. But there is when a scoop comes in picture, what I was trying to do is in our POC when I created, it was just picked up from MySQL to a Hive environment. That's the time I realized whatever I learned, I was doing as Hive is compatible with picked up from the MySQL one. So it's exactly, if you're a MySQL guy, it's your home ground. Time for you to hit sixes. So hi, and then what do you do? There is some set. Okay, I can't recollect it. Yeah. So now, in order for me to understand, that's exactly what I was trying to recollect. I mean, set. Pretty much sure I will not hive dot CLI dot current dot database. Sorry, somewhere we need to use print. Let's Google. Why is Google then? Print current database name in Hive. Yeah, there you go. Hive CLI print current DB. Hive CLI print. Not bad. Not that far. Right? Print. Where was the print coming? Hive CLI print current.db. Okay. Hive CLI print current.db. Hive CLI current.db. So you guys will understand what exactly I'm trying to do. In Hive CLI print current.db equal to true. And I do this, enter. Yeah, so so I need not be worried about which exact database I am in. So this is the advantage of doing that. Okay. And this is some small things to impress your person sitting next to you. So you may see, wow, this guy knows so many things. Some chota mota tricks which people show off. Copy. Paste. Yeah, I mean, that's exactly true, right? That's fine. Okay. So now let's do show tables. I can see an employee over there, right? So now, this is nothing but it will accept the moment each of this field. So EID 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 guys are there over here. I need to create corresponding guys now over here. Right? What exactly was this EID? Let's make that EID as 1001. What else was employee name? Is it rename, correct? EID name, salary, and designation. Name Sam. Salary, let's give him 1,000 rupees. Designation is what, TL? Okay. 10002. Peter. Maybe 2000. Maybe SC. Yeah, doesn't sound correct, is it? Let's give 3 Ram 3000. Let him be a manager. MGR. Okay. Yeah, so let's pick up. So when you guys actually created, the much better way to do it would be to pick up. There will be n number of files which will be available inside the free of cost for you guys. So you can pick up one of those files. There are n number of logs which many guys have written, which is pretty nice. So you can utilize those. So now what I need to, everyone understand what exactly the CSV file is, right? So no harm if you don't understand. Make sure you're raising it when I do some jargon which you don't understand. I'm assuming everyone understands CSV file. Everyone understand CSV file? What is CSV for? Let's make it anyways. What is the expansion of CSV? Comma separated values. Yeah. To be frank, that V, I didn't know V I was playing around with CSV file for quite some time, but that V part, I very recently, I mean, not very recently, maybe 2 years back or something, I knew about this. So it's value. It's value. Save as. Let's save it inside the cat guild. Okay, I think Sapna has joined. So she was the one who was finding issue with. Let's make it into employee EMP. Let's name this file as EMP, and then save it as CSV, comma delimited, right? And that's it. And save. Some features in the workbook might have no issues. Done. So now what I'm going to do is, it's inside the cat guild. So yeah, some of you has joined late for their benefit. So this is our WinSAP environment where we are going to connect my files which I have saved inside my Windows environment. This is my Windows and this is my Hive environment. So nothing but a cat guild environment. So as simple as drag and drop. So I got my every stuff inside my cat guild VM. So let's pick up that guy from here. Hive file. Inside Hive file, now you should be able to see a CSV file, which is going to be it's open with this, is it? I don't want to get this open by LibreOffice and all. Let's open it with gedit or something of that sort. Open with gedit, yeah. So it'll give me 1001, Sam, 1000 and TL. So now, so that's okay. We have 20 more minutes, so I can aram say Google and figure out what should be the syntax for doing it. Okay, that's fine. So now what I need to do is, right now this file is sitting inside my VM environment, correct? So no one denies for that fact. Now what I need to do is I need to take this guy up and store it into my HDFS environment, correct? So let's first create a file or directory inside the HDFS. How do I create a directory inside the HDFS? Let me first put a JPS and see every system is up and running. Yes, everything is good. So HDFS DFS minus make directory, right? And then let's do an ls and see what all the files existing. I really don't know. Let's do the root directory. Okay, hspace customer and there's a customer.csv already existing. Okay, can't help it now. So now let's do a make directory, mkdir, and then do a HDFS Hive, just to make sure we don't get confused with that Hive thing. Okay, I have created an HDFS Hive over here. In case we guys won't trust me, I'm just going to show that, yeah, there is an HDFS Hive over here, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to place this guy. When I do an ls, I have c hive create table or emp.csv. So I'm going to store my emp.csv. Let me rename this guy to emp only. So rename, how do we rename it? Those of you, emp, right? So now ls, I have emp, right? So hdfs, hope everyone understand the move stuff. DFS, I mean, in case if you're not from a Linux environment kind of thing, so for renaming purpose, we just do a move. Move emp.csv to exactly the same location, it gets just a rename. It just a rename functionality. HDFS, GFS minus put command, right? And emp to HDFS minus hive. I'm going to place it inside this guy, enter. Okay, now I'm assuming it's been placed over there. ls and HDFS hive. Okay, since we have gone to a good extent, I want you guys to do one thing now. Let's do one simple step. Oh yeah, I may not be covering your external table and all those things, right? Okay, that used to be some sort of ground homework which I used to give participants, but we are too ahead of time. All right, no issues. Let me myself do all the hard work. You guys sit and enjoy. Okay. So this is my Hive table part. Now what we need to do is, now we have placed this file. Everyone is in sync with what I'm doing, right? I have placed this file in the HDFS environment. So since there might be multiple scenarios with which you would have missed my conversation, some signal problem, so many other issues, I am assuming. So now what I did is I created a file in my Windows environment. Okay, I took using WinSCP, I have taken that CSV file, put it in the catgil environment. From the catgil environment, I have renamed that file name, just for the sake of it, because I didn't want to type emp.csv, 3-character time saving, that's all. And then I renamed it to emp. Then what I did, I have copied it into my HDFS environment. I copied into my HDFS environment, that's all I did, okay? So now what we need to see is, from HDFS environment, how am I going to bring in that guy into my Hive environment? That's exactly what we're going to see now, okay? Hope everyone understands what exactly is our business case, or what are we really trying to do, right? So now, how exactly so what should be the command for doing that? Let's try to shoot at dark, or what do you call for the shoot at dark only, right? Whether it gets tukka karke dekhte hai. What should I be doing? What is my table name now? My table name is so what I think should be load emp or employee. I swear I have not used any of this command maybe more than 6 months. Okay, it's almost, my previous session was almost, I think, 4 or 5 months back, not 6 months, 5 months back. So I don't recollect exactly, but this is where the fun is. So it's as intuitional as this it should be. So let's try hive.emp. Yeah, there you go. Let's see if it's, and let's see what all the mistakes we are doing. And then it's easy for us to, anyone can help me out. So with your intuition mind, if you think that's how it should be, please help me out. So load employee, because I think this is the table name. That's I think, okay, load data into table name, correct. That's correct. See that you have, okay, so I got a load data. Mac has spoiled our surprise. Just kidding. So load data, right? But I guess we are missing something over here. Load data in path should be given, right? So in path is given when I have it in my local file or when I don't have it in a local file. I can't recollect. So into employee. So if you agree to it, let's do that. Yeah, in local, it's local. In path, right? HTFS, I think is in path. Correct, in path. So just in path. So in path means it's local guy. So everyone understand what exactly is the local drive and HTFS. I'm assuming that. Okay. So into employee. So what is it? Load data. This is our data into employee. Let's give it a try. What's happening? Ting ting. Ting. It's telling missing in path. Okay. Yeah, local in path and in path. That's exactly what the difference might be. So load data in path STFS into employee, right? Missing table at, oh yeah, table. You have mentioned into table name, right? Into table employee. Correct. Yeah, there you go. Everything is loaded. Now what you can see is select star from employee. You can see that. Okay. Now what you see is select star from employee, fraction of seconds, you got the stuff, right? And how to see this struct struct table, is it? Struct employee. Will it work? Struct table employee? No, struct describe table. Yeah, describe table is there. Struct is there, which is give you a structure. Yeah, describe table name. Okay, so now I have this guy, and I'm going to give select star this guy too. Right. So now what I need to do is I just want to show you the difference. So the moment I gave this command, it fetched a row in 0.211 seconds. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is select a star from employee where EID equal to 10002. That's also done. That's not what I was expecting to happen. Let's see. And salary, yeah, we can use the sum of salary, correct? And okay, let's do sum of, we don't have a department, right? Let's do a sum of salary, correct? Let's do okay, I was thinking just to do a group by stuff now. That's fine. Yeah. This is where exactly you should be able to see the difference. The difference with the first read and the next string. Okay. So this is exactly what we said. Behind the scene, it's exactly the MapReduce program that is running behind the scene, right? So MapReduce got kicked off, Reduce got kicked off. So one simple stuff, or you can try it on your own end itself. What you can see over here is if I create a small data, maybe 100 or 2,000 records, and I do this stuff, let's see in how much time it's going to come up the result. So it has taken 15.66 seconds, okay, for getting just one sum of result, sum of this count, okay? And we say that HIVE is a high performance engine and all those things. Is you have taken 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs records, it will give you exactly the same time, 7.66 seconds. So that's the power of the distributed computing stuff you need to carry on. So Ben's learning maybe 3.5 years back. So we're not happy with seeing the result, right? Very excited. So it's much easy to create it, because what you can do is just take this, right, and then just drag it over here and keep holding it. So it'll just keep coming up, right? So you get a new record, create a huge amount of record, and then start experimenting what is the performance difference and all those things. It's much easy to manipulate and try to figure out what's exactly going wrong or how exactly things are working. Okay, so that's something. Now a key observation, what I want you guys to remember is, I have done a load command, right? Where is my load command? Yeah, so remember this path where exactly I have loaded my data, load data into employee. You guys all remember this path, right? Load data STFS site.emp and this scene. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into that. Look, okay, yeah. You could have seen. You can see it over here. You can see it over here, right? Now if I do an HDFS same command, so basically what is happening is, when I do a load command in the HDFS environment, it's really a destructive move. So it will pick up this file from here. It's actually a move, not a copy. That's something which you need to remember. This is something very, very key thing which happened in our production environment, in the real environment. So now, surprisingly, what you know is there are n number of projects running in our organization and many other places where they say it's just HIVE. If you know MySQL, you are a HIVE expert and start working on it. So with that, half people are working on it. Okay, and really what's happening is, I'm not sure whether everyone has noticed what has happened over here. So you can see this inside HDFS-HIVE, there is no file available, right? Can you notice that? So just over here, you could have seen that EMP file, but here there is no EMP file. That's why it's giving a junk kind. There is no information it's providing. /HDFS-HIVE, there is no file present inside that. The simple reason being, when I did the load command, it actually did a destructive move. It's picked up from there and stored it into the HIVE repository. That's what exactly it did. I'm assuming everyone is fine with that. Understood what I'm trying to explain. Yeah. Okay. So that's one very, very key thing. So basically what exactly was happening in our project, not my project. So when I was doing some of this corporate training, some of those guys have been sharing their experience. So what they were telling is there was in team, what was happening is, this particular environment was a shared environment. So basically this HDFS-HIVE was a shared environment. Different guys have created, for example, finance department, accounts department, every of them have access to this particular HDFS-HIVE. Okay. So first guy who has created the table, for some purpose, he's done this load command. Okay. And the next guy, when he was trying to do it, he sees that, no, there is no available. And that's a huge amount of file, right? It's not maybe a 100 MB or 200 MB file. It's a huge amount of file. So what he does is, he 1 KB or 2 KB you're talking about. We speak about maybe 170 GB of data or something of that sort. So when that needs to come from a different node to this node, it itself is going to take half an hour time, right? So when this guy was trying to load it, he sees that there is no file available. So what this guy is thinking is, no, there's some issue with this machine, or maybe some other corruption happened. He started downloading it. He will do a load command, and the next guy thinks that, okay, there is something else happened. So this was getting repeated for almost a week, is what I heard. I'm not sure if there is an exaggeration in it, but this is exactly what they were reported. And then they realized, okay, in a Hive environment, it's actually a destructive move when you do a managed table. And this table is known as a managed table. Okay, we have two type of table in Hive environment. One is managed table, one is an external table, which we are going much ahead of time. So that's why we are covering. So in our next session, we are going to see all those things. We're going to see to prevent all the situations from being happening. So we have something known as an external table. You'll create an external table, and this kind of a issue will be get sorted out. Okay, 2 more minutes is there. So I'll wind up over here. And open the floor for any questions if you have. I mean, is it okay kind of a concept, or is it tough to understand, or it depends on what sort of a background you're coming from. So in case if you're purely a manufacturing or not related to a SQL environment at all, it might be slightly tough, but we should be able to catch up with it. That's not really a big deal. So let's discuss on that. Okay, yeah, the Mac system. Mac, I think you're sending your note privately, so that it'll be much helpful for other guys also. I mean, it's pretty good questions you're asking, so that everyone else take benefit of. So the question from Mac is the file in case being moved to Hive warehouse folder? That's exactly correct. It's getting moved to Hive warehouse folder. So if you see in Hive environment, utilize this 1 minute of time. To where exactly is my browser? Yeah, there you go. This is my browser. Let's see where exactly that file has went in. Okay, so initially you guys saw that it was there in HDFS Hive. Let's pick up the 50070. Okay. And then I have utility. Inside utilities, I should be having browse my file system. Inside browse my file system. Yeah, okay. I thought what happened. Okay, so now I can see HDFS site over here. Right, this is the place where exactly I place my file. Now, if I go inside user, I should be able to see a Hive. Inside Hive, there is a warehouse. Inside warehouse, that's the database which I created. So there was someone already created some B1 first and all those things. Now this is our database, acadguild.db, right? Inside this, I can see my employee file. So if I click on this employee, I can see exactly the same data over here. EMP file, right? This is actually some sort of a development change that I made. Initially, I was able to. Now I have to download it. You guys can do that. So if you do this employee, it'll ask for a download option somewhere. Yeah, there you go. This download option. If you can download the data. As it is running short of space, so I don't want to do that. So you guys can try doing that and download your data and see how exactly it appears. So that answers your question, Mac. It is existing inside. This is a user, Hive, warehouse, DB, and employee. So from the initial path, it got moved to this particular location. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. We are going to see a lot of use case and on this in the future sessions. Any more questions? We have overshot by 1 minute. Maybe let's use maybe another couple of minutes more, or maybe 1 minute more. And then in case no more questions, let's wrap up. But I would recommend, I mean, this would be the closest, friendlier environment that you would have seen. So just play around with, and many of you guys, you were finding it tough to get your data from Windows environment to a cat guild VM environment. So we have found out a solution as WinSAP. So yeah, without WinSAP itself, you should be able to handle. But I forgot actually to raise this question to our technical support desk. So just today evening, I realized, okay, I have not done that. So immediately I tried to solve some solution. Then I realized, yeah, WinSAP should be able to help us in doing it. Okay, so I'm assuming no more questions from you guys. So that is going to be the case. Let's catch up on next Tuesday. So you all have a wonderful weekend. That's all for today. Thank you guys and good night. Good night. Good night, everyone. Then close this, stop sharing and meeting.